literally sat here last week and we were talking about how this should be your office, and now
it is.
It's going to be.
Boom.
Yeah.
I think we're live.
We are live!
Hey!
What's up, guys? Happy Friday to you. Welcome to another episode of Conversation Corner with myself and my man, Ryan Potter. And if you guys have not seen yet on your Facebook story, it's this dude's birthday today! Woo!
So funny story about birthdays real quick.
Yeah.
Is I was talking, I don't know, it might have been you the other day, and with someone, and they were like, how old are you going to be? And I was like, I don't even know. I mean, it's got to the point now where
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
It's like,
matter.
Another year.
So for the record, I'm 35, but it took me a couple hours to figure that out. Okay, maybe like a couple minutes, but
Yeah.
I was like 83, something like that from 2018, 35, okay. Yeah, good times. But anyways, we got Glories and stories and glories
Yeah.
today.
Stories and
I
glories.
mean, because it's only beneficial
Mhm.
as it relates to the Huskers that are going to get their first win this weekend. We've all been reminiscing about the glory days.
Yeah.
And so why not do stories and glories, talking about our stories and glories
Right.
as it relates to what we do.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you start, man. You got it.
Okay. Yeah,
some stories?
I got a couple. I got a good one. I got an interesting story, something that Ryan and I see a lot of, and then also a glory story, kind of a success story as well. So the first one is, and this is just speaking into what we talk about at nauseam with you guys a lot of, is making sure you take the time to educate yourself, get pre-approved before you start the home shopping process, get with an agent, meet your agent, make sure that you line out your goals with them so that way they know what to look for and how to best serve you through the process. Despite all of our best efforts to try to get our clients to do that, it doesn't always happen that way. And specifically, one of my stories is I've been trying to get this person pre-qualified that I've been working with kind of off and on for about a year now, and just, hey, following up, are we going to start the pre-approval process? You guys ready to look into that? Oh, no, we're working on this, or oh, no, we're working on that, maybe in the spring, maybe this time, maybe that time. I'm trying to get to the root of, hey, what's their hesitation, especially since the pre-approval process is 100% free, and it just helps them line out what their options are and get a good budget together and make a smart, educated decision for their purchase. So despite my best efforts to try to do that, we couldn't actually get them to cross over that line and do the pre-approval. Well, fast forward to a couple months ago, and they text and call me out of the blue and say, oh, hey, there's this great house. We found this awesome deal. We want to write an offer on it today. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's such a stereotypical thing.
Late.
I've been trying to get you guys to get pre-approved for a year, and now here last minute, you want to make a knee-jerk decision and go ahead and try to write on this property. So anyways, long story short, we go through the pre-approval process, start looking at credit, looking at income and assets, and find out that their credit needs a lot of work, and it wasn't something that we could do. Also, they had some income issues that we kind of had to tackle and just put together a really good plan for their purchase. So unfortunately, they missed out on that house because we hadn't gone through the preparation part of the process. We hadn't gotten everything done that we should have a long time ago, and it made it to where they missed out on this house, unfortunately. But the good news to that, the silver lining is we actually were able to get them pre-approved. Now they know what their budget is, they know what loan product suits them best, and they are out there actively looking for a house. So that's definitely a good side of it, but those horror stories happen all the time, guys. It's better to be prepared than not. Even if you don't end up using your pre-approval, maybe you decide to wait until down the road. That's totally fine too, but it's better to be prepared than not. Another story I have, one real quick one. Ryan and I are doing a transaction right now together that is actually not closing until first week of November. Mm-hmm. But we just did a really good job with this client. We were actually able to get the deal from another lender. Another lender was working on the pre-approval, and I was able to come in and add some extra value to the client and get them a little bit of better pricing So I was able
As he always does. As he always does.
But so we were able to build a relationship, add some extra value, do a really good job on the pre-approval with this client. I mean, we looked at everything, bank statements, assets, income documentation. We were extra thorough on the front end, and we got an approval on this particular file, this particular purchase earlier in the week. It was one of the cleanest approvals I've ever seen. No related conditions to the buyer, all just some stuff that we had to do on the back end, which if you're an agent, that's music to your ears. That's what you want to hear. And also the appraisal's coming back in today. So we're way ahead of the curve. It's one of the smoothest and best loans that I've done all year. It's fantastic. Client is super happy and ecstatic. So it just kind of goes to show, the better we are in the front end and we do more work on to be thorough, the easier it makes things as you move through the process and move through searching for a house and buying a house.
Which kind of moves me and segues me into that a little bit, because I have a lot of people that ask the question, when we're first reaching out to them, like, okay, well, when should we start this pre-approval process? If I get approved, how long, do I have until I can lock in a rate? All this other stuff. And I'm like, well, that's the conversation that you need to have with Levi, but it's never too early to get pre-approved. You don't have to worry about the locking in, right away. You worry about getting that stuff done up front. So then that, okay, now that I've been approved, now I can start taking the next steps into starting this home search process, even if that is 3 months, 6 months down the road. Right?
Because we can always refresh the approval.
Right.
Yep.
And that's not too difficult for you to do.
No,
right?
It's very easy.
And I think that's the misconception is like, well, I don't want to start too early because I'm 6 months out. And it's like, no, do it now so you can figure out if there's things you need to get paid off, if there's things you need to get, that you need to get up, like your credit score, things like that. Then in advance. So then 6 months down the road, when you're ready to get pre-approved, that those things don't come up then. And then you're like, oh, great, now I'm another 3-6 months out before what I wanted to go by.
Right.
So that's just food for thought, I guess, there. One of my stories, has been resulting with this market, and everybody knows by now, you should know if you've been watching our videos, we've been talking about this for months, so it's no surprise to us, but we are now in it where people are actually feeling the effects of the shift and the market and all those things. If you remember, it was probably 6 to 8 months ago where we were doing videos and where I was out there saying the shift is coming. We're starting to see signs of that. Now we're actually in it and people are freaking out. And there's no reason to freak out. So in case you don't know, real estate is kind of like this. It goes and ebbs and flows and goes up and down. Unfortunately, the last 8 years, it's been going up and up and up, and now finally it's plateaued and it's starting to come back down. And so what that means is we're just going through a correction phase, and we're in that correction, and it's a hard correction. I mean, I would say that it's literally a 180 from where we were this summer. This summer you've got houses flying off the market, and you've got things selling that should have never sold for the price range that they were in, but they were anyway because your supply is so low and your demand is so high. Now what's happened is that's kind of flip-flopped. So now you've got the supply that's high, we've got more houses on the market, but now you've got the demand that's so low where there's plenty of buyers out there now for the houses, and so they're picky, they're taking their time, they're doing whatever, and now you've got houses that we're seeing more price reductions than we ever have in the last 8 years. Gosh, and all that I've done real estate, I've never seen this many price reductions in such a short period of time. But that's because now that everyone priced aggressively and wanted their house to sell at this, they're not selling at this point. Now it's coming down where we're price reduction until finally a buyer is like, okay, I'll pay that. So I always tell people, again, I know I say this over and over, but a list price isn't what your house is worth. A list price is a starting point. So if a seller thinks that my house is worth $530,000, right? You start at $530,000 and then you see what happens. If you've got no offers on that house, you do a price reduction, right? There's 3 things that are going to sell your house: price, location, condition. So if your location and condition is good, then there's one thing that needs to change that you can change. You can't change your location. You can sometimes change the condition by making updates or whatever that needs to be done, and then you can change the price always. So if your house has been sitting, all those things, those other two things are done, and you can't make any more updates and you can't sell your house, it's priced too high. So we've just been experiencing a lot of price reductions. One of my crazy stories is I had a relocation this last week, and we were going to start out at 264. We decided to list at 259, and we sat on the market for a week. We got like 6 showings or something, and they're really motivated to sell it, and they wanted to beat the competition in the neighborhood. So they're like, let's drop it another 5. We dropped it another 5 to 254.9, and what do you know? The next person that came through wrote an offer on it.
Nice.
So again, it was just one. It's competing. So I heard another agent say this in one of my classes this last week, and he said, you could be the person that goes and puts a sign in the yard, and you can price it aggressively where you know that you're going to be under what everybody else is in the neighborhood, and you can be priced to sell. Or you can be the person that goes and sticks the sign in the yard and you just hope that you get an offer and getting what you want for it. We want to be the people that go in and we price it correctly and we price it where it needs to be, instead of wasting our time by sticking a sign in the yard and then 2 months later we're still sitting because we're priced too high. So that's, if you're a seller, what you want to know going into this correction and probably the next 6 to 12 months at least. Know that you want to price your house to sell. You do not want to price it higher than, so I know emotion kind of plays into this a little bit, where a lot of sellers think their houses are so much more worth more than what they really are. That's where you have to trust your real estate agent and coming in with the numbers, and don't look at the last 6 months in comps, because that's not going to help you. You literally want to look at like the last year and a half of comps of what's sold in your neighborhood and be like, that's what we need to price at. So it might be $15,000, $20,000 below what's sold in there the last 6 months, but that's where you need to be, because that's where the market has shifted and where it's going. So set that realistic expectation up front, and then you kind of know and be like, okay, again, the list price is our starting point. It's not necessarily where it's going to sell, but it's where we need to start and see if we can get any bites on it. And then as a buyer, everybody's like, oh, well, now is a good time to buy. Is it not? Like, yeah, it's always a good time to buy. I mean, interest rates are continuing to go up, so I think that has some people kind of worried and, oh, well, where are they going to go? They're going to go up. They're not coming back down. So take advantage of that. If you're someone that's got the opportunity to go buy, now's the time to buy. And I'll let you kind of speak into that a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean, rates definitely are on the rise, guys. Same thing with interest rates, though. They ebb and flow a little bit week to week. And the interest rate market kind of, it'll spike and then it'll dip back down and then it'll spike up again, and it kind of goes like that. So right now we've gotten back a little bit of what we lost last week, which is great, but we still are not where we were before. So expect them to continually rise. It'll be a gradual increase over time with that kind of ebb and flow movement. Every time those interest rates adjust or go up, it does decrease purchasing power. So keep that in mind also. I know I got a lot of clients who are like, oh, I'm going to wait till the spring, or I'm going to do this, or, instead of putting 10 grand down, we can put 15 grand down. Well, look, that's great, but it's important to really run the numbers on what that looks like, because the difference in maybe a quarter of a point in interest rate is going to save you more money long term than that extra, $5,000 of down payment might. So what you're thinking makes sense, where it's a better idea to put more down than it is to put less down. However, there's some math there that your lender needs to do for you to find out, if you're waiting until the spring or into the summer, what are you really losing out on? And I've had scenarios like that where we pre-approved clients before, and they said, hey, we're glad we're approved, but we're not quite where we want to be. We're going to wait until next summer to have a little bit more cash for our down payment. So then it's important for me to go through that education and say, okay, well, that's fine. Your interest rate's 5% now. Projecting it could be 5.5%, 6% by that time. We don't know. So even though I understand you're wanting to put more money down, that math may be that might be your purchasing power decreasing quite a bit from now until then because of the way that interest rates are going to go, even with that higher down payment.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Dude, that's good stuff.
Yeah, it's a little complex too. It's not just something math you can just do in your head. You have to kind of stretch that out. Go through it with your lender. Make sure they run those numbers for you because that is really important. The cost of waiting. You hear people talk about that a lot, especially when you're doing like a buy versus rent comparison. And it makes more sense more often than not if you have the financial means to purchase today, to do it today.
Boom.
Yeah.
I mean, go big red. After that.
Boom.
Throw the bones.
Yeah, baby.
Huskers get their first win this weekend, by the way. I'm projecting that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not even crossing my fingers. I am speaking that truth over our football team and the state of Nebraska.
Yeah.
And saying we get our first win with Scott Frost. If we don't, I'm going to be super upset.
Yeah.
And I will drive down to Lincoln and talk to Scott Frost himself because I'm sure that'll make a huge difference. But anyways, no, go Huskers. Yeah.
Happy Friday,
Happy
guys.
Friday.
Thanks for tuning in. Hold on. Don't push that button yet, Cass.
Don't you do that. Cass is going to start getting in some of these videos with us because she's quite the video person.
Happy Friday to you all. And good. It was another good CC. What I was going to say is make sure you guys wish this guy a happy birthday.
You did have one comment.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Michael wished you happy birthday.
Oh,
thank you. Thank you.
Nice. Make sure you wish this guy a happy birthday, man. He's all of 35, so getting up there, buddy.
I know, it's true. But
all right, guys.
Thanks.
Have a great weekend.
Good one.